it shows up in our workplaces, our schools, our churches, businesses that we patronize every day. And so you may come in contact with a victim of human trafficking and not even know.
215, stop, that's the number you need. So gather around, let me plant that seed. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Crime Stoppers 215 Stop podcast. I'm Jerome Jones. We are joined today by a special guest, Mrs. Kiana McKinney of McKinney Restorative Center. McKinney Restorative Center is a resource for sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking. Mrs. McKinney, thank you so much for joining us today.
I am honored.
So you've done some speaking engagements with us in the past and worked at some of our training sessions. So tell our audience today, what is the mission of MRC, short for McKinney Restorative Center? What is your all's mission and what programs do you have?
Yes. So in short, we want to educate, empower, and restore victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking. Our work sits at the intersection of prevention, education, and advocacy. And so we want to provide those three things to our community members as well as victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking.
Now, when you think about human trafficking, sexual assault, most people, if you were saying earlier about what you call the quiet crisis, tell me about the quiet crisis and what that is.
Yes, so the quiet crisis refers to interpersonal violence that's happening in plain sight, and we just don't recognize the signs. And so it's quiet because survivors don't always come forward because of fear, blame, they may be shame, or they may feel that they are not being abused. They don't know the signs of being abused. And so we are working to focus on making the invisible visible, and that's giving people the tools to recognize it, but also when you do recognize it, who do I report to?
I know that you connect people with those resources, so for us who may not know, tell us what that looks like. What does human trafficking look like when it's in plain sight?
Yes, and so in plain sight meaning it shows up in our workplaces, our schools, our churches, businesses that we patronize every day. And so you may come in contact with a victim of human trafficking and not even know it. So sometimes they are reluctant to even go in public, but when they do, they are very, they don't make eye contact. They avoid social interactions. They may not possess a lot of identification or items that they may need the everyday person carry on them. They may appear scripted or rehearsed when you're asking them questions. And so, in short, they are not themselves, and it may feel off. And if it feels off in your gut, and your gut is telling you to report something, then go ahead and report it. You're not doing any wrong by just giving a tip to the hotline.
Right. So, what does the most vulnerable of our population seem like? Who is targeted when the people that are human traffickers or sex traffickers, those kind of abusers? Who are they looking for? Yes,
so they exploit that very thing that you just mentioned, the risk factors, unmet needs, right? Those are poverty, mental health conditions, those with substance use. Our youth is the population is most targeted. And so what we want to do with youth is give them the necessary language to know what it looks like, give them, teach them how to set healthy boundaries and what healthy relationships look like, and also give them the confidence before harm even happens. But yes, our youth is the most targeted population. Those runaways, those that may be aging out of the system, they're involved in the juvenile justice system or the child welfare system. They're a targeted population because they want that connection at that age group, right? They're wanting that. They may have unmet needs, and so those things put them more at risk.
And, you know, we mentioned that it happens right in front of your face often, right? And it happens right here in Montgomery, right?
Absolutely.
So as we're going by our day-to-day, you mentioned some of those signs that people need to be aware of. What do we need to look for when we're out and about and we may suspect something or we may have no clue? What are we looking for?
So one, like I said, when it comes to human trafficking and interacting with someone that's being trafficked, we get that feeling that something is off. Someone may be being escorted all the time. So say, for instance, they have an older male and this is a younger child that's not a family member. It's just off, right? They may give them pet names like daddy, or those are usually the terms that's used for trafficking. Victims also sometimes have branding and tattoos going on, right? And when we're talking about specific labor trafficking, young people working in establishments are sometimes off, right? A younger server or something like that in different establishments, living at their establishments, right?
That does happen.
Yes, absolutely. So, and you mentioned it's happening in Alabama. It absolutely happens in Alabama.
And what we're talking about right here, why is that prevention education so important, especially for the young people?
So trafficking thrives in communities where awareness is low. If I don't know it's happening, then obviously I'm not looking out for it, right? We already live in a society where it's like, I go about my business, I mind mine, and that's it. But when it comes to trafficking, we can't do that. We have to be good community members. And so in order to recognize those signs and do something, you have to, one, start with caring.
Why is prevention education so important, especially for young people?
Yes, so prevention education gives our young people language, boundaries, and confidence before harm even happens. Our youth are often our most targeted population because they may lack information. They desire for a connection at that young age, that tender age, and that's part of their development. They're building relationships, and some of them may have unmet needs. And so when you have those risk factors, and traffickers love to exploit those risk factors or those unmet needs, that put them at a greater risk of being trafficked.
Well, that's a great segue to my next question. Now, what could we do as parents to ensure that our kids don't wind up in a situation where they're being targeted or trafficked?
Yes, so great question. So we first want to teach them what healthy relationships look like, right? And oftentimes we don't teach them boundaries. They're told that they're too young to tell me they don't want to do this or don't touch or don't. Let them explore those boundaries. Let them express those boundaries, because those boundaries go a long way when it comes to trafficking and abuse, right? And so we want to teach them healthy relationships. We want to teach them boundaries. And then when they encounter something that may just feel off, we want to give them the encouragement and the power to be able to come to us comfortably and speak on it.
And you know, why is this information important specifically in the state of Alabama?
Yeah, so human trafficking isn't abstract. It's not a distant problem. It's happening right here. So human trafficking, I'm going to stay broad for just a second and get to Alabama, but human trafficking is one of the largest criminal enterprises globally, right? And so 24.9 individuals are trafficked across the continents, right? Each year. Okay. That is alarming, right? And so when it comes to Alabama specifically, if we take a look at where we sit, Atlanta is one of the largest trafficking hubs. And you have I-65, I-85 that takes us through through Atlanta, right? And so with those corridors, it gives more access, easily accessible, easy movement to and from Atlanta. And so it's important for us to recognize that trafficking can happen anywhere.
Oh, I-20 is a hot spot for human trafficking, we've heard.
Absolutely.
Birmingham to Atlanta, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then for Alabama in 2024 had 100 sex trafficking cases involving 140 victims.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's not just something that's distant, that's just happening. There's a myth that it happens overseas or we're smuggling people to the United States, but those myths is one way of prevention, because we need to kill the myths and know the facts.
It's happening right here in open space underneath our noses every day, right?
Absolutely.
So how does MRC help those communities recognize and respond to sexual assault, human trafficking, domestic violence?
Yes, so one, we help by doing what we're doing. We're educating the community, we're educating our leaders, and then we also, when people come to us for resources, we help them with those resources, but if MRC cannot provide us a particular resource, we are having those relationships and those partnerships before harm happens so that we can do a warm handoff to those resources. So the partnership with CrimeStoppers and how important that is, the relationship with all the different agencies that are out in the community is extremely important, because we may not provide all the resources like counseling, right, or shelter. How do we get them there quickly without red tape or barriers? And that is so important.
You do have a partnership with CrimeStoppers, as we mentioned earlier. You're a keynote speaker at many of our events. So why is this partnership with CrimeStoppers valuable to you all in your mission?
It's critical because CrimeStoppers, it's different than working with the agencies that do some of the service providing direct care with victims. CrimeStoppers provides another avenue of reporting, because a lot of times people don't want to come forward because they fear retaliation, whatever the case is, but CrimeStoppers allow individuals to report anonymously. Right? I can give you a tip without putting myself out there and feeling like I'm putting myself in harm's way. And so this partnership is extremely critical, and I am just honored to be a part of this partnership.
Well, we're happy to have you. And one sidebar, you don't have to be a witness or know information to call us. If you're being trafficked or you're in a bad situation, you call 215-STOP. And they can report to us anonymously, even if you are the person that is being the victim.
Yeah.
And you don't have to give us your name, you don't have to give us a phone number, but you could tell us what's going on, and we could connect them with the resources they need to get the help they need.
Absolutely. And you may not know all the information. It's not your job. Don't investigate. Just report the information that you know and allow the fact finders to do that part. If you get that gut feeling, it's okay. Just make that report and allow the people that do the job or do the work of finding the information, they'll do it.
All right, now tell our audience how they could connect with you and some of the services that McKinney Restorative Centers offers.
Yes, so you can connect with MRC at 334-451-2399, or you can connect with us via our website at www.al-mrc.org.
All right, is there anything else that you'd like to add to our conversation, maybe that we didn't touch?
Yeah, I just want to say that it doesn't stop with human trafficking, doesn't stop with January ending or prevention ending. Human trafficking stops with action. And I think it's very important for us to know our role in the community as just community members. I'm not talking to the individuals that hold these fancy titles. Just as community members, it's important for us to understand that we also have a role in preventing and getting in the way or intervening with sexual trafficking, human trafficking.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Mrs. McKinney. We value your partnership, and thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.